On this episode of the Apple Watchers, a few things we might see at WWDC 2019, what we'd like to see at WWDC 2019, an Apple Watch oozes acid? Maybe. The iPod Touch is back, a few more stories you may have missed, and our picks. This is episode number 2. Welcome to the Apple Watchers, a podcast about the Apple Watch and more. This episode and every episode is brought to you by me and Jay-Z, aka Jonathan Zarko. All right, let's get started. All right, how you doing today?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're doing a little bit of an earlier recording this time.
Yeah, it'll be good.
It's nice. It's cooler.
Yes, this incredible recording facility gets quite hot in the summer. I don't know how we're going to do that. So I saw recently you went to Galaxy's Edge. How was that?
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
Oh, it's incredible. It's fully immersive. It met all of my super high expectations.
You're supposed to tell me it wasn't good.
It was terrible.
Don't bother going.
It was like foreign. It felt alien. It was just, no, it's really cool. There's a lot in it, and it's still missing one of the key attractions.
What's that?
The Rise of the Resistance attraction still isn't open yet.
Oh, okay.
But that's also supposed to be really cool. The one attraction that is open, that's the actual ride, is that Smuggler's Run attraction. Oh, it's super cool.
Man.
Yeah. It takes 6 people, but the front 2 people are the pilots. So one person's controlling up and down, and the other person's controlling left and right. And you literally have to dodge things. And then behind them are the gunners who are shooting at stuff. And if you mess up, it changes the outcome of the experience. So like what you see and what you do is affected by the choices you make in there. And like if you exit the attraction, or once you've finished your mission, if you messed up the ship as you're exiting, the whole thing is like flashing and you hear things broken.
Wow.
Just like this.
Yeah, just like that little glitch.
So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I am very jealous. I don't have anything that incredible to tell you. The coolest thing we've done is we went to the old LA Zoo, which I had no idea existed.
Oh yeah, I saw your pictures. Those are really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's not like the Galaxy's Edge, but close.
Color-wise, it was probably pretty similar. Lots of beiges and grays.
Yes, unintended, colors like that. Actually, we even saw people would spray paint
doing some alien tagging.
They would spray paint bushes and leaves.
Oh, weird.
So you'd see like purple leaves and neat. That's
I can't reach that wall up there, so I'm going to do the bush down here instead.
Yeah. So anyways, that's the best. Yeah, it's not quite like the Galaxy's Edge.
No, it's pretty cool though. But
anyways, why don't we start with some stories that people may have missed and we may have missed. This one, I don't know if you saw this one, and I'm on the fence. I don't know if this is even true because I didn't hear it reported anywhere else. Usually you see repeating stories by different tech blogs and on podcasts, and I only saw this once and then it just sort of disappeared. But this lady is claiming that she felt like a shooting pain in her arm when she was wearing the Apple Watch, and then it oozed out battery acid. Actually, if you saw the photo, it looked like a hole in her skin. I don't know about this one and the source that it comes from.
Yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Talanga Today. Okay, here's why I think this is weird. Her post, she put a post on social media trying to shame Apple, right?
Yeah.
It says, "At Apple, you suck. After owning an Apple III watch for 2 months, the battery leaked acid, burned my arm, and ruined my watch cover. Yes, my local Apple store replaced the battery, but refused to replace my cover. it was not an Apple product. Would it have exhausted? I don't know and that's something misspelled. But anyways, so she's more mad at the fact that Apple didn't replace her non-Apple case than the fact that it's bled acid on her. Makes me think that maybe she did something to her watch.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. And we won't spend a lot of time on it, but I like if something like that happened, I mean, that's kind of almost lawsuit type thing. Yeah. And I think they've done so much testing. I don't see that happening. There's been reports of the Series 0 and definitely the Series 1 where the screen would lift, but it doesn't burn you.
Right.
And acid doesn't ooze out. It would
for battery problems, that also makes me think that if it actually was that, she may have purchased a cheap third-party charger that was not rated properly.
Yeah.
Or had it plugged into a non-Apple wall plug. There's like a lot of different things that can go on. If a battery starts leaking, it's being compromised in a way. Or maybe she banged it really hard on something. She's the kind of person that has a case on there and was mad that the case didn't get replaced. It makes me think that maybe, not saying that people who have cases don't take care of their stuff, but I'm just saying, if you have a case or if your watch starts bleeding acid on you and you're mad about the case, maybe you go through some cases.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Weird story. I don't know if it's true. So this next story is just, I don't know if you were aware of this, but, and they just sort of slipped it in. Maybe they're just Apple slipping in a little hardware before WWDC, but they released a new iPod Touch with an A10 Fusion chip and up to 256 gigabytes of storage for only $199. And I think they're doing this because maybe they'll announce the Apple Arcade, the gaming service. And I think there's still people that don't want to give their kids a phone, but just,
Well, price-wise, so this is a pretty hefty iPhone replacement, right? Like mini iPhone kind of deal. And it's priced to rival a Nintendo DS or other small portables. It's cheaper than a Switch even too. So I think you might be right. If there are a new gaming system or their new arcade platform that they're putting out there, this could be an easy hardware piece that, younger kids can get excited about and ask about for the holidays. I'm sure it'll come out probably in some crazy cool colors and stuff like that too. And it has that added bonus of it can also do Apple Music or Spotify and, all these other things that a normal game company or game console doesn't necessarily do.
Yeah, and they haven't released one since July of 2015.
An iPod Touch?
Yep.
I thought they had been fully retired. I've seen little kids with iPhones now, but maybe if an iPod Touch is available, we'll see little kids with that instead of an actual full iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, that's cool. There's people out there that still need them. Yeah, that's cool.
What's this about the explainer page for the App Store?
Well, you might be aware that Apple's under some heat of, people are claiming that they're a monopoly. Their App Store is a monopoly, rather. Even Spotify is still, I think
fighting.
Let's just say fighting with Apple over Apple Music. So Apple put up a page actually that shows that, well, here's our mail app, but you can also choose from these other mail apps. Or here's our music app, but you can also choose Spotify and these other music apps. And
but does it give a pros and cons list to each one?
Yeah, I don't think so. And the cons...
does it talk about how they cap things at the knees because they don't have the same services available for the third-party apps?
Yeah, I don't think on their page that they list their own faults. I don't think Apple would. And, I put this story in here because I do still think it's a drag, and I don't know if it'll ever happen to have the ability to choose your default browser, your default mail app, your default music app, meaning that it just integrates so that, especially with Siri, I would love to see when you're driving, play this song, and you're using Spotify, and it just opens Spotify.
Yeah.
But, and until they do that, you either fumble with your phone or you just don't
use it. Yeah.
You just don't use it.
Or you have
because you can only use Apple Music to do that. Play this song and it'll play.
I mean, I set things before I leave, but on a long trip and stuff like that, there's that whole point of like, okay, you need to go over here and try to change that real quick or skip forward. I mean, it is a total first world problem, but it's silly that it's solved with Apple Music, but because you choose to use Spotify or some other app, that you don't get that same functionality.
Yeah. And, this applies to some of their other products too, because the HomePod, you can't use Spotify or any other music service.
Yeah.
I just thought of that. And that's a drag. They really need to change it. I do think they'll be forced to, especially with the HomePod.
Yeah. They're kind of limiting their market in there.
Yeah. I mean, they're just being crushed.
If they're really trying to sell hardware.
Yeah.
Opening it up to the other services is going to be beneficial to them.
Yeah. So, sorry, those stories are not super Apple Watch related, but this next one, I don't know if you saw this, but the Apple Watch could be freed from the iPhone by 5G and a new app store. Obviously the 5G, I think that's going to be a while. I don't even know if it'll be on the next Apple Watch released this year. I highly doubt it.
So.
Because it's not expected to be on the iPhone.
Or if it is, it'll be, I don't know if it'll be true 5G, because I don't know how many US network carriers actually have true 5G. I know AT&T did a weird thing where they swapped over a number, the graphic that got pushed.
It says 5G I believe, and it's not 5G.
No, it's not. It's getting ready for the next one. It's like, it's going to be capable. This will be the band. If you get this, then you'll be able to get 5G kind of a thing. I think I saw something that said Sprint has officially pushed out one of their first 5G networks, but it's only in a couple of cities. But probably within the next couple of years, maybe they'll start getting real 5G. What's interesting about this, though, so if you're freed from your iPhone with your Apple Watch because you have 5G, I wonder if your usage, or if they might be able to do this before they do the phone, because your usage of a watch is different than your usage of a phone.
Yeah.
And so if the 5G is just giving me access to streaming music and making phone calls and sending text messages, that's not very data intensive. Yeah. It's, you're not, I don't know if Netflix is going to come on your watch, but I don't see people streaming a show to their wrist and then watching it. And there's not, because of the limited real estate on your screen, I don't know. I see like the data consumption being a lot less. So maybe it's a way for networks to kind of baby step into 5G.
Yeah. In my opinion, I think beyond just the 5G, but the watch should become more independent. I mean, it would be great if it could run from an Android phone. And I think they would just kill it in sales. Like, I've heard from, other podcasts, people talking about their Android watch devices and not being very
super satisfied,
and not like Google not putting a lot of effort into it. We know that Apple puts a lot of effort into these watches, a lot.
So it's like when they opened up iTunes originally, and so you could use an iPod with a Windows computer. Yeah. I think it would behoove them to allow integration with Android devices, and I mean, at the very least, just data integration. phone and messaging, right? If you can get those key items, then once you have access to the internet device, then all the other apps and things work. And which this is getting a little ahead, but if they're going to release a app store for the watch, that can be independent of this, Android store or the Apple or the Google Play Store.
Yeah. And I guess, Monday we'll find out. That's WWDC, the beginning, Monday, and we'll hear if there's an actual, watch store on the watch, or app store on the watch.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Well, let's talk about what we'll see or might see at WWDC 2019. You've seen the invites?
Yeah, these are kind of fun. The little Animoji outlined.
Yeah, we could try to interpret these and see what it means.
Well, I think so. Dark mode, right?
Yeah,
was one of the ones.
And I swear, there's been so much talk of dark mode. They better do it. It will benefit our iPhones. These OLED screens.
Oh, right, yeah.
They use a lot of energy, and having a dark mode would greatly help with that. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner. It's not such a big deal on the LCD screens. Mm-hmm. But it would really help with ours. I like the way it looks. Any app that can do a dark mode, I switch.
From an accessibility and usability standpoint, like it's really nice to not have the bright screen, especially when you're in a dark room or in the nighttime. I already would use the triple flip, right? The triple click that inverts your screen, and they were doing that smart inversion. So I've been using that for a while anyways. But it is really jarring to go from like one app to another, and all of a sudden you get super bright light and stuff like that, or seeing your pictures inverted.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing is kind of interesting. There is so on the unicorn invite, there is a little gem in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
I think that's the sketch icon. Which, for those of you who don't know, Sketch is like a Apple only or a Mac OS only available software that is used for wireframing and visual design comping. It's like a Photoshop alternative.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It kind of mixes between Photoshop capabilities and Illustrator capabilities, but it only works on the Mac. And one of my big things is I would be interested in seeing that app on the iPad. So I'm wondering, I just noticed that right now. I wonder what other little things they have hidden in there. There's the Swift bird. Yeah.
And what's weird about both of these images, because they sent out multiple invites, and these are Memojis. One is a unicorn, one is the robot. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why they chose Memojis, and their heads.
Is it Memojis or Animojis? I think the Memoji or whatever is.
That's the one that's you. Yeah. So these are Animojis. But all these, if for people who haven't seen these images, but there's all these things just exploding out of their head. It's literally exploding out of their head.
True story. This unicorn does kind of look like you, so I see you getting confused. And I definitely look like this robot.
Well, you sounded like a robot.
Yes, that's also true.
I'm still not convinced you're human, but
it does not compute.
Oh no! Beware, folks. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they have in store. I hope it's
looks like
spectacular. Hopefully they have live explosions on stage.
Yeah, this is definitely promising something exploding, right?
Yeah,
at the very least, my mind needs to be blown. So.
Yeah. So,
but what do you want to see? What would blow your mind?
Well, we'll go over all the operating systems here, and why don't we start with the watchOS 6? What I would like to see, and I really don't know if it'll ever happen, but custom watch faces and a custom watch face store, meaning third-party watch faces. I just don't know. They can't make enough. And I like analog looking faces, and I've owned other smartwatches, and the ability to put like a Rolex face and like, all these things. It's kind of cool,
There's
and
a whole untapped market that's primed.
And I just, man, it's been so long. I don't know if they're ever going to do it, but it would be the greatest thing. But I know some people are opposed to it too, because there's going to be a lot of ugly faces.
Yeah, I mean, but you're right to wear an ugly watch face if that's what you want to use.
That's how I feel. Because the same could be said for apps. Before there was an app store, you just had nice apps. And then once there was third-party apps, you had fart apps.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
those are terrible.
But it got made and it got bought and people downloaded it because they thought they were funny. And
I think they should do it.
Yeah,
I just don't know if they're ever going to do it. I really don't at this point, but I would love to be surprised.
I mean, maybe. Again, the rumor is that there may be an app store for the watch specifically.
Yeah.
This would be a great, key feature of customizable watch faces is something you can buy. And they have a partnership with, like you said, Rolex or, some other really fancy face company, and they're able to take their proprietary designs and offer that as a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, it would offer companies, I'm sure Rolex is doing pretty well, but they could have their own app that you can buy faces. I mean, at 99 cents a piece or whatever, but they would make a killing.
Or it could be, I think you were talking about how NASA has a band that comes with...
it was a company that made a band. It was probably licensed or whatever.
But they could do the same kind of thing where another company could design a special band, and then if you buy that band, you get a redemption code for a special watch face, and you've now completely changed the overall look of your watch to feel like this other brand, but you still get all the cool Apple Watch features.
Yeah, one of these times I'll probably cover that. I'm hesitant to keep talking about that product, and I almost bought the watch band, but I was like, I don't know. But it did come.
More of those, yeah.
But it was cool because they like you would buy a certain band. I think they had Pac-Man too, and then you get a matching Pac-Man face to go with it. Well, so I can see that.
It was a live photo, right? That's how they were kind of getting around it, because they could do that.
Well, yeah, they have like a watch store. I have the app and or a watch face store, but it's literally just photos. That's all it is. It's like loading a photo on the face of your watch. But it was cool because they would go together, go together matching the band, the whole theme, because maybe you'd like a Star Wars band with some kind of Star Wars face.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Or, I mean, what would also be cool is if they allowed them to do custom faces, it could probably incorporate more of the complications and stuff in it. Because right now, to use that face where you have the picture on it, you're very limited in how much you can put on there.
Yes.
But I would love to be able to have, one of my other faces and have like a row of complications at the bottom. You know? And maybe the face has been designed to have this background and have the complications in there. There's a lot of opportunity in there for incremental income and customization, and it could totally be opened up.
Yeah.
We might see it. I don't know.
Yeah. And then, and I didn't have a lot to say about watchOS 6, to be honest, because I really think that with the Apple Watch 4 that they've refined the operating system pretty darn good. I don't have a lot of complaints. The only other thing I put in here was a better Now Playing screen, because there is actually some empty, negative space there that they can play with. And some apps, I believe that developers can customize those faces, but they don't always. But I believe that even when you're playing Apple Music on your watch, the screen doesn't have much there, the Now Playing screen. But I love the one on Pandora it has a blue background and it has the like button and the dislike, and there's a little bit of album cover art in the background.
Yeah, it just feels more designed, more sophisticated. I understand their like balance of battery life and utility, but yeah, there's definitely some enhancements they could be making in there.
And what would you like to see?
So I'd like to see support for shortcuts, because I remember trying to make shortcuts and I couldn't get anything that could get launched off of my watch.
So you want to make them on your watch so that the whole list is smaller,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Like,
no, what I want is to be able.
You want it to be more challenging.
Yes.
You want to make the shortcuts on your watch.
The challenging shortcut app is too simple. Let's make it worse. No, I would like to just be able to control shortcuts and activate shortcuts from my watch. And right now, there is no integration in that. So I think it's a total miss. I'd like to be able to yell at Siri to, start my bike ride process, and it texts my wife and starts a playlist and starts tracking the app and like just does all the things that I have to manually do before I go, and just do it automatically. Because right now, if it won't do it on the watch, I can tell my phone to do it and it'll start playing music and other things, but then I still have to manually start the app on my watch, and it's just seems like a miss. So that's I think the biggest one.
Yeah. What else?
So I know that there are third-party apps that I kind of do this, but the heart rate complication, I don't know why it doesn't show you the last reading. And I would love to have a setting or an option where every time I look at it, it does a check. Yeah. And it then updates and shows me my most recent heart rate.
Yeah. Even because like the third-party apps, they'll do like a reading from 4 minutes ago or whatever it is. And even that would be helpful. Like I've never used that default heart rate as a complication since my Series 0 watch. I've never used it because I lift my wrist and I see a heart.
Yeah.
That's
like,
it.
Cool. And then you can tap it. But I really just,
oh my
just
God,
give me
I got to reach
number.
over.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Come on. So the other thing I'm thinking I'd like to see is a new way to organize apps on my watch itself.
Folders.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about that the other day though. Like I kind of want, it would be small, but like,
a way to kind of group them together. Well, so you can do the list view, right, where you see all of them. I would even be happy with just being able to pick out top 5 or 10 and have those go to the top of the list. I like the look of the whole like little circles. That's cute and fun, but sometimes you're like, where is that American Airlines app that I just need to get my boarding pass or whatever,
Well, because you have to memorize what that app looks like.
Right.
And a lot of times I'm like, why? I don't know what they look like. On my phone, I'll do a search for an app.
Yeah, if I could if I could group them together into folder groups, and so I can have like all my travel apps, all my health apps, all my whatevers, and then it's just easier to kind of parse through it and find them. So again, if they're doing some kind of an app store, and we're going to be expanding on here, there's some infrastructure things they need to do to be able to find those apps. Yeah,
and the list view, it's cool to have that option. I don't remember if it was on the original operating system, but it doesn't look very nice.
No, it's just a list, and it could be revamped.
They could make it at least look a little nicer, because it's not very thrilling.
And then the last thing that I'm thinking we might see, or I'd like to see, and I have a little like tinfoil hat theory on this, is Face ID. Now I know we're still a little early for new hardware. I don't know if we'll see new watches. But maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised if the next one has a front-facing camera to do Face ID and, know who you are, instead of having to unlock on your phone or put in the passcode, which again, total first world problem. But it would be really interesting to be able to validate things just through Face ID.
Yeah, because, neither of us have a current like MacBook Pro or something like that, but I believe that you could use your watch to unlock the MacBook Pro and probably other Macs.
I know those have the Touch ID on them.
Yeah.
But also to those, I don't know why those don't have Face ID either.
Yeah, that's true.
You're trying to build this
true.
whole new infrastructure. The don't the new iPad Pros?
They do.
Them? Yeah, they do. Right?
Yeah,
the full edge. So they've already started it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see this propagated through all their products now.
Yeah, well, I was going to say is if they had it on the watch, it would be cool to unlock your phone.
Oh, yeah.
From the watch.
Yeah, if I look directly at my...
Actually, because I don't know, like when I'm at work, I have my phone sitting off to the side. And the Touch ID, I was able to just touch it.
And it open, yeah.
Yeah, and now I got to...
Look at it.
Okay, it's not opening. Oh, okay. Right, I got to bring it to my face. But if I could just go like this with my watch,
yeah,
that'd be great. That would... Yeah, they should do that.
So my tinfoil hat theory is that it might happen because they use those animojis as part of the graphics for the WWDC.
But I don't know that there's anything in these watches. Maybe on the next watch or
I just think that we're going to see Face ID on more things.
Yeah.
Because that is you need that architecture, that system to be able to do that whole Animoji thing. So I'd be interested in seeing it on the watch.
Yeah, that would be cool. All right. Well, why don't we talk about what we expect from iOS 13 now and what we want? I would like to see continued reliability and stability, just them to keep focusing on that because they admitted that iOS 11 was a mess because so many people complained. Man, it was like running a beta.
Yeah, I thought
literally because
12 was better.
Oh yeah, 12
and
was much better.
Typically when Apple underperforms, they kind of overcompensate the next couple of years later. So I'm confident. I'm hoping this will be strong and good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not worried.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'm just gonna say we don't need a ton of features. Just dark mode, some other things, and just keep it reliable because it's working pretty good.
I'd rather have one or two really strong new features.
Yeah,
that are really good and really baked than have 5 or 6 kind of good.
Yeah,
half baked things. Yeah,
that was iOS 11. I want to see dark mode. It looks like that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
I would like to see better and smarter Siri. And I think everyone would. Yeah. We're tired of getting web links.
I think that's been an ask since Siri came.
And they're being crushed, obviously, by Amazon and Google.
Yeah.
Just crushed. I would like to see low power mode for iPad, and I scratch my head. Why is there no low power mode?
For sure.
Weird. And a calculator for the iPad. That makes me scratch my head again.
I remembered when I got my iPad, I had to download a calculator app.
Yeah, I was like,
what?
Yeah, you sit there and you're like, why is there there's no calculator here?
Yeah.
Very strange. Very strange.
Although Siri can do basic calculations for you. So I don't understand why.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it can do math. I don't know why they didn't just roll that into another app.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it'd be hard to port it over.
Yeah,
I mean, just make it a little bigger and whatever. I'd like to see swipe typing on the default iOS keyboard. I already use Gboard religiously. It's fantastic, but always, I love Google, but I'm always little concerned with privacy and whatnot. So I know that the iOS keyboard is private and they're not secure, tracking. Yeah. So I would love to see swipe typing. I also like the predictive text on the iOS keyboard, which Gboard doesn't do very good at all. It would be cool to see the ability to use Bluetooth mouse on the iPad.
Please.
Which is kind of funny because then on the Mac, there's that Project Marzipan where developers will have to write apps that are iOS. They run on iOS, but they run on the Mac. So the Mac is becoming more like an iPad, and then we want the iPad to be more like a computer.
Well, I think people want their device to be able to use the tools for whatever job they're trying to do at that time, right?
Yeah.
So I love using my iPad for surfing around the internet and reading on stuff. And for that, the little touchscreen, great. But if I'm as they're getting stronger, we're getting new apps like Photoshop and stuff like that. If I'm trying to do actual manipulation, having a mouse would be really, really nice.
Yeah.
Likewise, though, on my laptop, it would be great to be able to tap and, flip it around and use a pencil, an Apple Pencil on it and things like that. So I definitely would love to see some blending between those two.
Yeah. Apple News. I use Apple News every single day without fail. And I would like the ability to download my news, download like, man, it could be like 10 gigs. I don't care. Just download everything so that I can read it later. I have issues at work with the Wi-Fi and even LTE where I'm at is a little spotty. So sometimes I'll even load what I want to read ahead of time, but then I go upstairs to the break room and all of a sudden it's kind of gone and you have to reload it again. And I would just love to see that. I don't know if they'll ever do it. They do it for Apple News Plus, because those are magazines.
Right.
But man, I would just love to see it for Apple News. I would love to see a better mail app. I don't use the mail app at all. It looks very nice. I think it looks really beautiful because it looks like a lot of their other apps. But I use Spark and I love that one because there's so many features there. Just turning an email into a PDF with one tap and there are many other features, but that's one that I use a lot. But I know you can do it in the mail app, but it's a lot of steps. It's like sending it to be printed and blah, 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 blah. I would love the ability to use a different default camera, default browser, default music service. We kind of touched on this already, but I mean, system wide, I mean, even the camera, it would be cool
to use a different camera app. Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah. Same with when you click on a link, go into a different browser. I actually use DuckDuckGo browser.
Okay.
Privacy.
Yeah, full
privacy.
Security.
Yeah. Yeah. And I only go to Safari when I absolutely need to. I know there's privacy settings in there too, but I feel like DuckDuckGo is much more private.
Oh, yeah. It is. It's encrypting everything. And
and we already talked about the music service, but just play this song. But I currently don't use Apple Music. I have some music stored in the cloud, and I can request Siri to play something, but not anything from my Google Play Music, which is what we use.
Yeah, so. We use Spotify, and I would love to have Siri integration in there. It's a huge pain in the ass that she can't. But speaking of this, though, this gives me an idea. I would love to be able to change that quick button on the home screen. So right now, you can do the flashlight or the camera. I'd love to be able to swap those out. I don't really need the flashlight. I don't use that often. But it would be really cool if I could swap that out for mail or
I see what you're
Spotify
saying.
or something else. So like as soon as I pull up my phone, I can just tap that and get directly into that application.
Yeah, they only have limited controls there.
Be kind of cool to be able to change that.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. To me, this is minor and major at the same time. Have you ever been on headphones and had an Amber Alert come through?
No.
Yeah, I think I lost hearing from that. Yeah, it's pretty loud. Like, it actually happened to me at the most inopportune time using the restroom. And so I'm using the restroom and having to try to rip my AirPods out of my ears without dropping them in the toilet because it was so loud. But just Apple, just a volume control or a silent.
Yeah.
Vibrate.
I wonder if
there is no vibrate.
There's no setting or something? Wow.
No. If you're on headphones, it comes through. It is way, way, way too loud.
Got to find those kids, man.
Yeah, just all it takes is
a
little button in settings, like vibrate only.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, and we kind of touched on this a little bit, I think, but better tutorials for Siri shortcuts, because I've seen some of these laid out, with all the steps. And I don't know, maybe I'm too old. I can't make heads or tails of how to modify them.
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
downloaded some and still like, I don't know where to insert, certain things I need to make them work. And, I don't see people, if we're not like even able to get into these, like normal people that aren't even messing with their phone, they're never going to touch these.
Yeah. And there's a lot of power in there, and it can be a great way to customize and make your device super useful, but it's really hard to figure out how to make it work,
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the automator that used to be set up on, have on the Mac.
Yeah.
And I learned how to do, I read some tutorials and I learned how to do some quick things on it. And I feel like that, even as complicated as it was, it's still a hell of a lot simpler than this Shortcuts app. So I'd like to see that too.
Yeah. So what would you like to see on iOS 13?
So I like a lot of your ideas. I'm really excited for dark mode, and I would love to see better Siri integration. I'm interested in Apple kind of taking some of their Watch OS features and putting it into iOS, mainly complications. I would love to have a complication icon for apps on my iOS. So like the one that makes me laugh.
The home screen. The
one that makes me laugh is the weather
screen.
app. So on my watch, I can have a weather complication and it shows me what the weather is outside. But my weather app always shows me a sun and a cloud. Why not make that something that can change and show me what the weather is outside?
Yeah.
The time at least changes. Doesn't the date change too on the calendar? Yeah, the calendar changes. So I'd like to see that kind of feature expanded out a little bit more, so that I can start to get more information without actually even having to jump into the app. On top of that, and I know this is going to make some, Apple fanboys kind of cringe, but I wouldn't mind having larger icons and complications. So, kind of pulling it out and maybe making one instead of taking up one part of the row, like making it take up 4, and being able to pull more information out of that. It would be really cool to get a snapshot of email.
Yeah.
So personally for me, I use the Mail app. I have 3 different email accounts that I'm managing. I have a personal one, I have a freelance one, and then I have a work one. And it just aggregates all of my emails together. It would be really cool to be able to tell, I have 5 work emails. I have 10 personal emails. And there's a freelance one. I should look at that.
Yeah.
And instead of having to go through all of them and kind of opening up the app.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of to see that detailed information on the home screen, I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
Let me see what else.
And you also put full support for progressive web apps with Safari.
Yes. Okay. So this is a huge one. In work, we've been playing around with progressive web apps because there's interesting functionality that can be done. Building applications natively for devices is very expensive. I understand Apple has an ecosystem they're trying to maintain, and there's quality, and I think that all should be there. But they should still allow for people to download and save progressive web apps. And you can, but the way around it is to add a shortcut to the application, the browser application. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. And they don't understand that we are able to put technology that makes the application work offline. Like we've done user testing where we put it out there and we're just trying to give tutorials on how to download the progressive web app. And the number of times I've heard people who think they know go, well, you're just making a shortcut, so this isn't actually going to work without internet connection. No, there's technology on here. I think it's a huge miss that this is where the future is going. Google has fully embraced it, and I understand why Google wants it because they can also do a Google search through progressive web apps. So it actually bolsters their results. But that's also really helpful in terms of building functionality and allowing people to find these things. Yeah.
That would be cool. Before we leave iOS 13, let me just cover a couple things that we didn't request, but I've heard mention might come. And that's a few of the apps being revamped: the health, reminders, find friends, find my iPhone, and files. I would love to see those work. Be revamped, be cool. Be
reminders
very cool.
and lists could definitely use a facelift. It's been.
Yeah, reminders is still buggy for me too. Every time I shut off I think it's just my iPad, but when I shut it, power it off, when I power it back on, I'll just get these reminders popping up that say reminder.
Yeah.
And I can't get rid of them because they don't show up in the reminders app. But weird. You could get rid of those bugs, Apple. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Updated iMessage, updated maps, better parental controls, a new sleep mode, CarPlay improvements.
You know what I'd love to see in messages would be live translation through different languages. Because I have family members and I was using Google Translate. It would be really cool if I could just write something to another family member who speaks a different language, and it just automatically translates into whatever their default language is.
Yeah. It looks like, too, there's expected to be lots of iPad multitasking and enhancements. That would be cool. They're a little confusing, I think. Mm-hmm. The split screen and all that. Like, it's a little wacky. They can make it a little clearer. I wouldn't mind even split screen on the iPhone because they're pretty big.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be cool.
The Maxes and Pluses, definitely.
Yeah. Looks like there might be multi-users HomePod support. They should actually do multi-user support for the iPad so that your kid, I think that's a lot of people, I think, want that because it'd be great for your kid to just get on there if you had a kid and, just have their little games and stuff. They don't need
all the other things. They don't need access to your emails.
And you don't want them to do that because they start to get into trouble. In fact, I think we're having an issue where one of my fiance's nieces is getting into her mom's calendar app because we would see all these weird events popping up. So I had to just disable that family.
Oh, yeah.
It's under that family account. And I was like, man, everyone was like, where are these coming from? I go, man, it's got to be one of the girls. So it's good just to, like, if you can get rid of all those and just have what the kid needs. Yeah, I think that's probably it for iOS. macOS, I don't think you're restricted at work to what you can use, so we're not using the current version. My old laptop here can only run El Capitan, and that's where it ends. No more updates.
Yeah, I'm due for a new home computer as well because I'm on the same restriction as you are, and so.
I'm waiting because I've heard rumors. That was actually when we get to the wish list here. On my wish list for WWDC is MacBook Pro, but I don't remember the cycle. I know they just supposedly fixed that one, but I don't know. I'm still a little weary to spend that much money.
Yeah, and
I would like to see some design changes because I think they start to change the actual case and everything. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold out at least till towards the end of the year to see if they do anything. Maybe till October. Plus, I can't buy it if I don't have an Apple credit card either.
Right.
I can't save 5%.
Yeah. You got to wait for that to come out first. I'm interested in seeing a Mac Pro. I've been hearing about it for the last couple of years that they're working on something new. It might be a little bit overkill for what I need nowadays. I don't do a lot of video editing, but we're doing a lot of graphics and crazy stuff. And so that might be, I'd be interested in seeing a Mac Pro that is upgradable. Because the other thing too is right now with the MacBook and the iMac, you can't even install your own RAM anymore. It's all soldered to the hardboard or to the motherboard because it's super, super tiny. I would love to see something that I could expand on. I could swap out pieces on. And please, Apple, bring back the cinema display. I don't know why you guys stopped doing it. You have a giant, gorgeous display in your iMacs. Yeah. Just give me that without the computer guts. Let me hook that into other things.
I think there's rumors of some kind of display coming out.
I'm hoping.
Really,
really hoping. And I would love it to have Face ID. I want a camera in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, if they want to go all out, if they give it a touch interface, that would also be really cool. Or allow me to use a pencil on it.
Yeah. Yeah, so folks, we're covering what we wish for at WWDC this coming Monday. One last thing is, I mean, they didn't announce any pricing for Apple TV Plus, their streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to hear pricing. Yeah. You know, I mean, they gotta let developers know, right? What the pricing is. I mean, well, more for arcade because developers will be writing games for their arcade, gaming service. But I still, and you've mentioned this, I think, in us just talking outside the show, is like some kind of bundle pricing. Like, are they going to do that? Because like that would definitely be enticing. You can get a good deal on Apple Music, News Plus, you know, or
that might actually make me consider switching over.
Yeah,
from Spotify. If you can give me Apple Music, News Plus, and Arcade for like $15,
yeah,
okay, you've now figured out a way to give me more value.
Yeah,
and I will consider swapping over to.
You'll get one of those apps where you can port over your playlist.
Yeah,
because they have apps that do that. So
yeah, a lot in there.
Yeah, it you know, Apple Music's pretty decent for the most part, but yeah, I mean, it'd be great for some bundle pricing, and yeah, I mean, man, if you could like a family deal.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I have a family contract for Spotify, so there's a lot of people that are on it right now, and that might make things a little more complicated. Like, yeah, sorry, you're gonna have to buy your own streaming service, or get moved over on to my other thing.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is if they're using an Android phone or anything, Apple Music's on Android, so
yeah, that's true.
There is that, but they might not get any of the TV service or
right.
But yeah, so I think that probably covers it for what we might want to see there, what products we might want to see. All right. Well, anything else we should cover? Any other news we might have left out or tips? I have a tip.
Oh, what's your tip?
Well, you can file this under maybe old guy doesn't know what he's doing. I don't, man, for some reason. So I just wanted to put it out there, and I'll put a link in the show notes to Apple's help page. But after doing an update on my iPad, airplane mode didn't work, or so I thought.
How so?
Because I didn't know that there's a setting. And so I'm just putting it out there if people don't know. Even my fiance claims that she knew, but she didn't help me. So sure you knew. So you can customize airplane mode, essentially, is what it means.
You can turn on and off.
Yeah, so by default, when you hit airplane mode, it turns off Wi-Fi, it turns off Bluetooth, and it turns off the radio signal or the cellular signal if it's on the phone. So I didn't know that you could turn on airplane mode and have Wi-Fi going at the same time. And now it all sinks in. I know why they do that, because on an airplane, they have in-flight Wi-Fi. Yep. So
you can also turn on Bluetooth. So if you have Bluetooth headphones, while you're on a plane, it still works.
Exactly. So just a tip. But what I didn't know is it memorizes whatever setting you put. So right now, if I was to turn those off or on, that's the way they remain permanently until you change them again. Mm-hmm. Those Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and cellular buttons.
Yeah. The only thing you can't toggle on and off is the cellular, but that's literally what the airplane mode does.
Yeah. So just a tip. Just a dumb tip I've had an iOS device since the iPhone 3GS and somehow did not know that. And so, I will say, when I called into Apple, the girl was not that great. And I'm not saying because she was a girl, because I've got bad help, male and female. but she,
I think it's probably not a common problem.
but well, I was just
expecting that one.
Yeah, well, I was just pointing out though, sometimes their help can be a little iffy, but the whatever manager that she connected me to, he was excellent and pretty much knew right away. So he sent me a link on how to, toggle that on and off. So just a tip, just in case, because I know there's people, older than me out there. I'm pretty old, but they're older than me and might not realize, because you could hit that button on accident. Yeah. I swear I never turned it on,
Well, you just you fat finger something or, you hit a button by accident.
Yeah. Maybe a lot of times I got the iPad and I'm laying in bed going to sleep, and I've fallen asleep with holding it. So maybe I hit the button by accident, but I swear it was after an update. So whatever, it's fixed now, and it was super easy, and I didn't have to reinstall the operating system.
Oh, that would have been bad.
Yeah, well,
it would have solved your problem.
The person that helped me initially, when I called Apple, she had me, reset all my settings, which was kind of a drag because it erases all your old settings.
Interesting.
And you have to redo them all. So, but luckily the next guy, he kept me from having to reinstall the whole operating system. I didn't know. Yeah. So
good.
Anything you want to cover?
Yeah, I found this article late last night that Apple may potentially be killing iTunes, and I don't think they're going to go away with. I think what's going to happen is this is going to get rolled into Apple Music. Mm-hmm. You will no longer have an iTunes and an Apple Music. You will just have Apple Music, and in there you can stream or buy. And I think it's part of their streamlining with their new services. So you'll have Apple Music, Apple News, and Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
And so iTunes will go away, and probably Music and News and Arcade may eventually get their own app stores of sorts.
Yeah.
And that may start to, or not necessarily app store, but their own stores, I should say. So music store, game store, and then I don't know how they would do. Maybe they don't do one for news, but yeah, I think it's time. I'm curious though what that means about installing and getting a new phone. Granted, I haven't had to plug my phone into a computer in a long time, but if you're a brand new user, I guess you still don't need to anymore. Huh? Yeah, you don't need it anymore.
But
it's all backed up online through the cloud anyways, and
yeah. Another way this would be good, because there is iTunes obviously on PCs, Windows PCs and whatnot. I wonder if this means they would make Apple Music available everywhere, which would be good because as a Google Play Music user, I can listen to it anywhere. Mm-hmm. I can listen to it in a browser on any computer. You can't do that with Apple Music.
Yeah.
Cannot. But it would be great if you can. I don't see why they don't. I mean, if you have Apple Music on Android, why can't you have it on any computer?
Yeah.
And they would get more people paying into it, possibly.
Yeah. Well, I think is there an Apple Music application for the Mac right now? Oh, yeah, there has to be, right?
There is.
That's right. But isn't it? It's not part of iTunes.
It's funny because I'm looking at it right now. It's the same logo as on the phone, the music, but it says iTunes.
Oh, so it's part of iTunes, yeah.
Yeah, on the Mac it's integrated together, but it's supposed to be killed and separate, and I think there's already been screenshots.
I think it's clean. Yeah, it's time to just clean it up, those products, and do away with it.
Yeah.
What about your picks? Let's go to picks.
Yes. I'm gonna. This is a little late because this came out, I think, about a month ago at least, if not more. But it's the book about Tim Cook. And it's pretty good. I did the audiobook so I can listen to it at work and whatnot.
Did he read it? No, it's not.
No, that would have been kind of cool. But Yeah, and it was cool because, you know, he had a hard job, you know, to step up and come after Steve Jobs.
Yeah, those are big shoes to fill.
Big shoes. I couldn't even imagine. And it talks about, you know, his values and growing up gay in the South, which must have been
difficult.
Yeah, pretty difficult. You know, talks about his education. He does have a lot more education than Steve Jobs. Really, really smart guy. Really smart. So it goes into that. It goes into how he really changed the supply chain. And I believe they run the whole supply chain based on what he changed when he came to Apple. But he streamlined it. He made, I don't know if you're familiar, you know, or listen to other books, because I've heard listen to other books where they mention Tim Cook. And they were trying to get around storing product for long periods of time. You know, they either have it come in and out or just ship directly. If you've ordered a watch or any Apple device and have it shipped to you, it never goes to a warehouse. It comes straight from China or wherever it's
factory
built. Yeah, it comes straight from the factory.
That's really cool. That saves time in delivery and they don't money. Have to store. Yeah,
because storing it would be astronomical to send it to a warehouse and then pay to ship it out and have people pack it up. So he changed a lot. Also, his stance on privacy and security, we know from those the San Bernardino terrorist attack shooting. He had quite a stance on that and wouldn't budge at all.
I understand the argument on both sides, but it's a slippery slope.
It is. And he did offer, because I remember at the time, and it is mentioned in the book, is they offered access to the shooter's iCloud. So just to know, people, if Apple, or someone comes knocking at Apple's door and wants access to your iCloud, they will, you know, give it away. They won't let you access the device, but they will let the law have access to your iCloud. And they offered that up right away, which could have told a lot. But from what I understand is they eventually got into that phone anyways and didn't find anything.
That's what they say. I don't really know.
That's true. Like the I don't think they're going to tell us, oh yeah, let's just tell you what we found. And it also talks about his stance on the environment, because I don't think Steve Jobs was quite into environmental changes and green, you know, being green necessarily. Maybe he would have changed over time, but they've made quite a stance. I mean, Tim Cook has taken quite a stance on it and changed a lot of things. And I believe, you know, I think the whole new facility that they're at is all, you know, run on renewable energy. And so he's made a lot of changes. This book, I mean, you know, obviously Tim Cook is still with us, so they could make another book.
Yeah, they can
eventually. Yeah, part 2. But I have a feeling that he'll still do a lot while he's the CEO and probably have some big stories on him, you know.
Yeah, I'm mostly happy with where he's taken Apple. I'd like to see some, you know, new innovations here, but honestly, it shouldn't all rest on one person's shoulders.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you get a Steve Jobs like figure, and Steve didn't do it alone, right? And most of the time, Steve wasn't even the originator of the original idea. But he was a multiplier. He was able to take other people's ideas and get them to advance them, you know. And so I would love to see more people like that under Tim, kind of advancing Apple. And I'm curious to see what we do at, or what they do at WWDC.
Yeah.
And, you know, see where the company's going.
That just, you know, my final, I didn't mention who wrote the book and all that. It's written by, if I'm saying his name correctly, but Leander Kahney. And he's a Cult of Mac editor and publisher. So pretty well versed.
What's the full book name?
It's called Tim Cook, the Genius Who Took Apple to the Next Level.
All right.
Yeah, and it's good. Yeah, it's very good. It's worth checking out if you're an Apple fan.
Cool. Well, my pick is not an article. It's an app again, and it's for the iPhone or for iOS. It's called Grokker. It is a workout subscription service. But it's not just working out. It's got things for like mental health, including meditation and stuff. There's some things about like dieting. And so you can sign up for basically multi-day courses, and you kind of go through these instructional videos with them. And then there's also like a little bit of a social aspect. So there's other people who are doing the challenges with you. But yeah, really interesting. Things like, a 5-minute mental recharge, or things to help you sleep. So how to fall asleep faster, calming a busy mind. Those are all the things that I've kind of been doing because I have my other workout ones. But there's some really, really cool different options in there.
And is this just for the iPhone, or is it for the watch and iPad? And
I've only seen it on the phone. I don't think there is a watch counterpart. Not that I've been using. I'm checking here. I don't see. Oh no, there is a watch.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, you know what? It's a time tracker. That's all it is.
Oh, okay.
So you can it'll help you kind of keep track of those things. But I had just been doing them. Mostly, I've been doing videos and stuff. Even like.
And the pricing, is it pretty?
So my company, it's part of our benefits package. We get it for free. I'm not 100% sure what the actual cost is.
Oh, okay.
So I apologize, but it's pretty good. I think I'd pay, at least $5 a month or something for it. I'd find that value. So you're going with other instructors and experts, and there's things on from reducing stress to core workouts. And there's even some things on like health and nutrition. So you can talk about cooking and recipes and stuff like that. So, here are the topics: yoga, fitness, cooking, and mind. So you can find different programs based off of those 4 topics.
That's cool. I got to check that out.
Again, it's called Grokker. That's Grokker.
Cool. Yeah, we'll put a link in the show notes to that. Man, I got to come work at your company. I mean, even look, I'll come in as a janitor.
Yeah, there you go.
I got to just get in, man. The benefits you keep telling me.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I'll be a janitor. I'll get a janitor would be good with the Apple Watch.
Yeah, you're moving.
Yeah, a lot of moving, from mopping and cleaning.
Yeah,
and
vacuuming.
Yeah, I'd finally beat you
on the workouts.
And then you would request to be a janitor in another location.
Just on the evenings to my time up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode. Read the stories we've covered in this episode and a few more stories and news on Flipboard, a link provided in the show notes. Reach out to us and find stories we've covered on Twitter @WatchersTweet. Please subscribe and rate us on whatever podcatcher you use. It would really help us out. And thank you for listening. Until the next episode, I hope the only complications in your life are the ones on the face of your Apple Watch.